to set a destination. Where do we want to go? We want to go to a point where all people have access, are included, and there's digital equity. The digital equity sets a destination for us that is more progressive.
Through all our discussions and through all our surveying and research, there were really three main barriers that we saw that exist and really intensify disparities and make this digital divide lead to greater inequity. And the first is lack of connectivity. The second being lack of equipment. And the third, lack of digital literacy. And these three barriers are really what we dove into in our conversations and in our dialogues with our community. Cutting across all these barriers is really an issue of not having adequate policies to really help us at the organizational, legislative, and systems design. So there's work that's been started, but there's so much more that can be done in this arena of policy.
There are two main findings that reverberated for us throughout the assessment process and throughout our conversations. Not all folks have full access, and those that start somewhat behind the curve without access, depending on circumstance, such as a pandemic, are impacted more.
Everyone is really impacted by this digital divide in some shape, way, or form, but there are a few populations that really were highlighted to us. One being people who are children and youth, people without homes, people who identify as Black, Indigenous, or other people of color, those with physical disabilities, recent immigrants, English language learners, people in rural areas, people with mental, intellectual, and developmental disabilities, older adults, and always spoken about as well and mentioned people who are low income, especially when we're talking about affordability. We know that folks are itching to take steps of action. So we wanted to present just three different ways, three different strategies that you can prepare to do that. And the first we're calling access. And when we talk about access, we're really talking about online access needs to be available. So thinking about communications and the infrastructure needs to be affordable for everyone, and it needs to be designed for inclusion. The next framework that you can think of in terms of action is this idea of adoption. And this is really about focusing on the individual experience of a user. So when we look at people, they'll say, I'll use the internet if it matters to me, right? If it's related to a personal goal, maybe we'll use it if it's important to them, if they know how to use it, and if they feel safe and comfortable using it. So and here we're really focusing on having equitable design of systems. And equitable design centers the needs and concerns of the users and includes everything from thinking about language, thinking about the level of help one might need to use these technologies, security, as we've talked about, and so much more.